had a really good start in life. I have a really good family. I had a really great childhood. I have great memories of growing up. I grew up in church, so that was really a priority from a young age. Honestly, from a lot of outside perspectives, people, would look at my life and be like, oh, you have a perfect life. You are perfect. While I certainly have a lot of things that I'm blessed by and grateful for, it's actually that idea of perfection and having this perfect life that has sort of followed me into, the last 20 years of my life. From an early age, it was that this narrative or this lie sort of got planted that basically told me that I was what I did. There's early shame experiences that I had where I got in trouble as a kid, and it just in therapy we always say it kind of misstored in my brain. A message got sent to my brain that was like, if I did well, if I got good grades, if I performed exactly how I was supposed to, if I followed the instructions, people liked me. And if you didn't do it, then it was you got in trouble. I just quickly learned to adapt to being the student who followed the instructions, who did it the way the teacher wanted, because that was what got me affirmed. I'm not good at cooking and I can't cook. And so if I've tried to cook something and I fail, I've literally ran out of the house and got in my car and driven away because I was just beside myself of I messed it up. It's not good. I literally in college lost 5 points, I think, on an assignment one time, maybe not even 5 points. And I literally just cried about it. You sit there and you're like, I'm crying over 5 points for something that's not gonna matter. It just feels so much more personal because you are what you do, or you are how other people think of you, or you are this outside thing that can change, because I'm not perfect and I'm always gonna make mistakes. But if that's the thing that's determining who I am, then of course it's gonna make me freak out or cry, because then I'm like, oh my gosh, that reflects on me. I'm a perfectionist, just in my personality. And then there's also this other part that is very much mental health related. And I started seeing these symptoms and these patterns of obsessive compulsive disorder ever since I had been a kid. In 6th grade, it was directed at school a lot, and specifically for whatever reason, my 6th grade science class, I just would get so anxious about doing it right and figuring it out and doing it correctly. But also my conscience was so strong. I didn't want to cheat and I didn't want to do anything wrong. And so it was I couldn't fail and I didn't want to do anything wrong. And there was this narrow lane that I felt like I had to stay in all the time. When I think about 6th grade in that class, I just think about the physical manifestation of just anxiety, in my gut or in my stomach. For me, when I got older, it manifested itself in my physical space. And so I couldn't get close to people, or I was always afraid of bumping into somebody or doing something wrong. And it pushed me into this place of avoidance where, because it was so hard to be around crowds or be around my family and friends even, I just wouldn't. I stopped doing things. I'm a people-pleasing perfectionist, and then I have OCD and anxiety, and it's because you're not okay with something inside of you, you keep looking for something outside of you to fix it. I don't know that I really truly believe that I am loved just for being me. I'm oh, that's a really nice thought, but how? Somewhere there was this lie planted and the enemy was you are not loved. You have to go get love out there. Love on earth can just feel so conditional. And I think that is sort of what I struggled with being a people pleaser, is just that I do this, I pull this lever, you're happy, you like me, you love me. I don't do this thing, it feels like it's gonna get taken away. And I kept doing it because it worked. I got A's and I did well, and you really sit and you ask yourself what am I trying to get? What do you think is gonna happen? You're finally gonna make it and you're gonna get there. But then you realize no, you're not. No one's ever going to clap loud enough. No one's ever going to affirm you enough. No one's ever going to give you enough awards or recognition or whatever it is that you want. You're never going to get enough of it to finally reach that place of being fulfilled. And it's never going to hit that spot in your heart that is really just meeting Jesus. The enemy promises water, but every time we go to his wells, they are empty. He gives us a sip of water, enough that we keep believing him. So we chase image, answers, things, people, and we wonder all the while, why am I still thirsty? There is no secret here, just one answer to your thirst, Jesus. God's love is really tricky because you can grow up in church and you can hear about it all the time and you can still have no idea what that means or what it feels like. Not because of anything that God is doing or not doing, but because if you're not accepting it, like, he can't force you to like feel his love and live out of that. Like, you have to sort of come to terms with it, but also like you're never gonna fully understand it because it's just so much bigger than any kind of love that we ever get on earth. When you zoom out, I think, and get perspective, you just have this sinking feeling of like, oh my gosh, like you just see a bigger picture of eternity and all of the things that you've been trying to achieve and do and get validation and get worth. Like they just don't matter as much. So much of my journey has been working for love instead of recognizing and backing up and being like, wait a second, like I inherently in my identity, there is this base level of love that I was created from. And if I just work from that, the way that I do things is going to look so much different. I still don't quite grasp that. I feel like I haven't fully found that dynamic of like working from love instead of for it, but I think that's the thing. Like if we are truly understanding that we are loved, we're not going to care about trying to get love from anything else.